Hey everybody, welcome back. So, got the car all on the body cart and everything. Now what are we gonna do? Alright, so sheet metal time. Time to get rid of all this old sheet metal and put new stuff on. Problem is, never welded before. Never MIG welded sheet metal before. Yeah, I made the body cart, but I did a lot of practicing before I did that. So I'm going to be doing the same thing. Going to be doing a lot of practicing. I'm just going to go over with you on the stuff I'm going to use for practicing welding, and then kind of a rundown of where I'm going to start, I think. I had to do a lot of practicing before I even started welding this body cart up. So I'll show you some of the things that I did for the body cart. It's right here. These are all my practice pieces. Not all of them. There's still some other ones up on the shelf, but this is kind of where I started. Just running some beads, putting the same thickness materials together that I was going to use on the body cart for the pads that the car sat on. Yeah, this is kind of how I did it. I would write down, my settings when I got a good weld or didn't, and so that was how I practiced for the body cart or jig, whatever you want to call it. Even practiced putting a leveling threaded rod coupling on there. So some of the things I used, man, I had to get a auto darkening welding helmet. Man, like I said, I've not welded before. I can't flip the helmet down and stay in the same place to save my butt. So I just bought this one on Eastwood. Works great. Pliers, some gloves. I even actually bought a little hat to put on there because those little sparks that come off, they don't feel so good on the head. So, and here's what I bought for a welder. It's just a Hobart Handler 140, 110 volt model. So you can see I had to write myself a little note since I never welded before to remember to turn the gas on. So, and then this is what I got. I got a gas setup. I don't know if you can see that there, but this is basically what I'm using. I'm just using the 75 argon 25 CO2 and solid wire. Right now I've got the wire for sheet metal in there, and that's the 023 wire. So what I used for the body cart was I used 030 wire and had to set it up a little bit different, but it's all self-explanatory. So here's my test pieces for the sheet metal. What I did, and before I get to this, is I took a bunch of gauge sizes right here of the different panels and floor pans, frame rails, etc. and stuff, and tried to find some pieces. And as you can see, this isn't stuff that I bought from a big box store. This is stuff I got out of, well, I hate to say it, out of the dumpster at work, but this thing was the back of an old piece of equipment or whatever, so that's like 20 gauge. So I figure, what the heck, ground off all the paint, and that's perfect because there's a lot of panels that are about 20 gauge here. And then 14 gauge here, another 14, and this one's like 12 gauge, which is just under 1/8 of an inch, which is perfect. So this is the stuff I'm going to use to practice welding. I already started a little practice stuff, and that's right there, as you can see, not very good. I'm practicing Jonathan from Vinyl Village Garage's technique, where you run the shooter screws in and then do your plug welding. It's supposed to make them look like spot welds, and I don't know, I'm getting a little bit better, but I got a lot more practicing to do. I guess my point here is that even if you've never welded before, YouTube is a great source. That's what I did. I just YouTubed a lot of great welders out there that have their own channels, and you can basically do what they recommend and practice. This is just practice stuff, so I'm just going to practice until I get good enough so I'm not actually practicing on the panels, because last thing I want to do is have to tear stuff back apart because I didn't weld it in right or something. So that's just a quick rundown on the welding. I think where I'm going to start here is when I do get comfortable enough with my welding, I'm going to start right here and section in a new piece right in here for this outer cowl here. I'm going to do it on both sides. As you can see, it's all chewed up and everything. Not very good shape. Same with over on this side. So that's where I'm going to start. It's not exposed anywhere. Nobody will see it. Even if I mess it up a little bit, fine. Nobody sees it behind the fender. So I've got a whole new one here. I know, so why not just use the whole new one? Stuff doesn't line up real well. I don't know, for as much as these aftermarket parts are, you would think that they would be able to get them dialed in a little bit better. So my thing is I'm gonna section in what I can using old parts. So you can see this piece right here. That piece is 90 degreed up pretty good and stuff. So, and then you look at this one here. If I can get a shot of it, but you can see how it's got it just like blends in. Hardly any stiff 90 to it or anything like that, or hard 90, whatever you call it. But so I've kind of found that with a lot of these aftermarket parts that I've just been kind of going through. So what I thought I was going to replace the whole thing, I am just going to start sectioning in pieces like this that you can't see, and keep the integrity of the pieces that are already there. So yeah, got a lot of sheet metal to replace on this thing. So that's kind of how I'm going to attack it. Just a quick video on that. I'm going to start in the front end too. I got to replace the firewall, the upper cowl, the dash pan, the dash. Somebody put a CB in there, which, boy, it was pretty cool, but I'm not having it. We're putting air in, so we're changing the dash to, I got one right here. So that's got the air conditioning holes in it. So that's what we're going to do. But there's a new firewall, floor pan, trunk floor, upper cowl. Man, we've got full rockers up there. I don't know if you can see, the frame rails are up there. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. So each thing we'll make a video on. I already started with these here, these outer cowls. I wanted to see what it was like to take spot welds out, and actually Kelly drills out those spot welds pretty good, so I think maybe I'll just let her do it. What I have found with drilling out the spot welds or not is this works a lot better, the air chisel. I ground my little chisel down a little bit flatter on the bench grinder so that you could really just get it in there and start popping these welds out. So yeah, this is a good place for us to start practice. You can see I've got a patch I got to do there, so we'll take you along with all that stuff. You can see how we're doing it. So that about wraps it up. We'll get these videos out of the little projects we got going on with the car here. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching.